In this video, I'm going to talk about PowerShell. So, what is PowerShell within Windows? Now, PowerShell is a task automation and a configuration management platform. Basically, it's a scripting environment which allows you to craft scripts related to either communication between the operating system or the services or communicating with an API or any other external resources. Now, PowerShell is basically a scripting language and a config management framework. PowerShell accepts and returns .NET object. Now, when PowerShell was introduced way long back, it was based on a .NET framework. Now, as the .NET framework evolved, and from .NET framework, now we have .NET Core, which is like basically globally available in multiple operating system apart from Windows as well. So there are various flavors of PowerShell. Now, PowerShell basically provides tab completion and command prediction. It supports chaining of the commands using pipelines. Now, I'm going to cover all these things in my upcoming videos, but video is basically an introduction to PowerShell. Now, it is basically used to build, test, and deploy the solutions. Now, PowerShell is extensible through functions, classes, modules, scripts. You can extend the PowerShell commands. You can write complex functions. You can chain the commands. You can write a whole bunch of sequential scripting within the PowerShell interface. Now, PowerShell has a built-in support for common data formats like the comma separated value CSV, JavaScript object notation JSON, and XML. Now, there are different flavors of PowerShell. Basically, when you hit the start button, you may find various application related to PowerShell. Now, sometimes it is a bit confusing, sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, but then it's simple if you understand the difference between all this application. Now, the first one is Windows PowerShell. Now, Windows PowerShell means it is available only in Windows. Okay, it comes pre-installed when you install the Windows operating system like Windows 10 or Windows 11. Now, within Windows PowerShell, you have two applications, x64 and x86. So x64 is 64-bit operating system, x86 is for 32-bit operating system. So now you have Windows PowerShell 32-bit and 64-bit. PowerShell ISE, again, it's 32-bit and 64-bit. PowerShell ISE is a different version than Windows PowerShell, but PowerShell ISE is more visual. It is kind of an integrated scripting environment whereby you can author your scripts and try and run and debug and view the output within that same interface. Okay, so like this, we have now four applications. So Windows PowerShell 32-bit 64-bit, PowerShell ISE 32-bit 64-bit, and then there is another PowerShell which is PowerShell 7, which is, I would say, a subset of Windows PowerShell because it is now globally available to other operating systems. So PowerShell 7 you can install in other operating system, okay, apart from Windows. So you can install in macOS, you can install in Ubuntu, or Red Hat. So all those kind of operating system you can install PowerShell 7. However, Windows PowerShell and PowerShell ISE is only specific to Windows operating system. Then there is a PowerShell Preview. Basically, it is like a preview version of the PowerShell 7. Okay, now PowerShell 7 is sometimes referred as PowerShell or PowerShell Core, as it is evolved from the .NET Core framework. Now, the PowerShell Preview is basically a release candidate for the PowerShell. Okay. Now, PowerShell Preview, again, it is like multi-OS compatible and you can install a different operating system as well. To install PowerShell, now as I told you, like you cannot directly install Windows PowerShell because it automatically comes from Windows operating system. So you can enable the features of Windows PowerShell within your operating system. So there is no separate direct install to install Windows PowerShell. So anything which is Windows PowerShell or Windows PowerShell ISE, x86, x64, it comes along with Windows operating system. Okay, so and it gets updated along with the Windows operating system as well. PowerShell 7 install. Now, PowerShell 7 install. Now, it doesn't come with your operating system. So, what you need to do is you need to go into the Microsoft website, find Windows PowerShell 7, and then install using various channels. Okay. Now, some of the channels are using winget. Now, this is a command line utility. Basically, it downloads the PowerShell 7 from store. Using MSI and zip package is basically you might be getting some sort of a downloadable through which you can install the PowerShell 7 application. You can fetch PowerShell 7 directly from a Microsoft store, or you can use .NET Global command line tool to install the PowerShell 7 application. Now I'll just show you how those interfaces looks like. So um, if I hit my start button, I can see Windows PowerShell, Windows PowerShell ISE, Windows PowerShell x86, Windows PowerShell ISE x86. So these two applications are 32-bit, these two applications are 64-bit, and these four applications basically comes along with your operating system. So you need not install it separately. Okay. Then there is PowerShell 7, which you have to install it separately, either using winget or MSI or zip or .NET Global tool. And this is multi-OS compatible. So this not only works in Windows, but this will work in other operating system as well. Then there is an upgraded version of PowerShell 7, which is basically a PowerShell preview. Okay, you can see the release candidate for PowerShell 7. You can, if you are interested in knowing what kind of commands are available within the new PowerShell, then make sure that you use this application. Okay, so like this, you can install various command line. Okay, so how does it looks like now? If I go to PowerShell, now this is PowerShell. Okay, this is Windows PowerShell. Now if you see this Windows PowerShell, it looks something like this. Okay, now it has other functionality like IntelliSense and all those nice feature which is available within all the integrated developer environment. So you can find that over here. So Windows PowerShell, this is 5.1 version. Okay, then if I go into Windows PowerShell ISE, ISE will look something like this. Okay, so ISE has, it's not only has that command interface, but it has a authoring canvas. Okay, whereby you can write in the script or chained commands, and you can execute all this command at once. So you can write this command in multiple lines. Okay, so I'm just copy pasting this. Okay, now you can write all this command in sequentially, and then you can select it and you can run this command. You can run the script. Then there is a option of run selection, and then there is an option to open a new remote PowerShell tab. You can view all the modules or the commands over here. Uh, you can do various other options like debugging, like listing down the breakpoints, removing the breakpoints, enabling the breakpoints. And if you want something more, you can install the add-ons. So there is a script browser add-on tool, module browser add-on tool, script analyzer, and so on and so forth. Right. So this is basically, like I would say, kind of an IDE, but it is called as an IEC. It is an integrated scripting environment. So it has a limited functionality compared to an IDE, but it will allow you to author a script and then even save a script. Now the extension is always PS1. Okay, so if you save this file, you can save that file as PS1, and then you can execute that PS1 in a batch with batch processing application. Okay, now let's go to PowerShell 7. Now, PowerShell 7, now this version is compatible with various other operating system as well. Now, as it is compatible with various other operating system, quite possible that the command which is available within PowerShell 7 is limited. Okay, so PowerShell 7, I can say it is kind of a subset of PowerShell, Windows PowerShell. Now, assume a PowerShell 7 has, say, 100 commands. Windows PowerShell might have 150 commands. Okay. Now, quite possible that PowerShell 7 is powerful as it is across multiple operating system, but then it needs to respect the operating system architecture as well. Now, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Red Hat Linux, CentOS, all this operating system has a different architecture, and then you need to tailor your command in such a way that one command you write in one operating system should work in other operating system as well if they have a similar or like-minded application or services architecture built in. So that's it, folks. This is all about PowerShell 7. I would highly encourage you guys to install PowerShell 7, have a look into it, play around with the command. And you can also find, say, there is something called as get dash help. Now, the moment you type that get dash help, it will give you a nice bit of interface. So this is how it looks like. So if I put get dash help, it will give you the PowerShell help system, and then it will give you some more information about how to update, how to uh, get the help, and some information, like, say, if you want to look into get dash process, so it says you can put in get dash help, get dash process. Okay, so let's do that. The moment you do that, it will give you a syntax, it will give you some information about what does this particular command means. Okay, and then it gives you a nice bit of instruction as well on how to use different commands within the PowerShell. And you can run most of the PowerShell commands in PowerShell 7. So if I type in get dash command, okay, now it will list down all the commands which is available along with the version number of the commands. Okay, so it's a huge list, it's a comprehensive list. You may not be able to explore all this command, but it will give you a whole bunch of information. And if you see over here in the version number, the moment you find something as 7 point something, so that means it is specific to Windows PowerShell 7. But if you find which is version 1 point or 4 point or 5 point, it is specific to, say, PowerShell, and quite possible you may find that command in Windows PowerShell as well. So again, I told you that this is just like a subset of the command. Now, if you see here, this one update dash type data. Okay, this is 7.0.0.0. Okay, so this is like 7 Windows PowerShell 7 based command. But if you see here 5.1.2 or 3.0, so this is all coming from that older PowerShell interfaces. Okay, so that's how you can uh, explore all the commands. So have a play around with the PowerShell 7, because this is going to be the feature, and this particular application will be extended further, and then provide Microsoft will be providing more compatibility across various different operating systems, so that you can write a like an application or a code which is compatible with various operating system. That's it, folks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.